And I'm an asshole, and that's okay. I piss people off, and it makes my day. Welcome back to John Sees the World. Where's it, John? Sees the World. We don't know yet. We haven't figured that out. Our show today is brought to you by the Suicide Bunnies, the Terralingua, Texas, Big Bend National Park Suicide Bunnies. Do not avoid the Suicide Bunny. If he jumps in front of your tire, run him over. Otherwise, you'll end up in the ditch. You could end up turned upside down. Or you could end up trying to get out of the car and being chased by javelinas. You don't want to be chased by javelinas. I've been chased by javelinas in my car itself, where I had to speed. Well, the speed limit in Big Bend National Park is 30 miles an hour. Well, of course, I had to break the speed limit on certain occasions in order to get away from the herds of javelinas. Little bastards can get up to 35, 40 miles an hour when they're running and chasing you. Believe it or not. So suicide bunnies. Don't avoid the suicide bunnies. Run the little bastards over.
So who actually sponsored this? The Suicide Bunnies?
No, this is more like a PSA.
Are they advocating for their own?
No, this is more like a public service service announcement, a PSA. Like we used to do in radio when I was working in radio. Yeah, suicide bunnies.
Don't put the tens unit on your balls. Now, I still have to. Now, okay. I still have to ask you.
Okay.
If you kept being warned by them, that was the first thing you were hearing. Somebody had to have done it.
Had to have done what?
Put the tens unit on their balls.
Put the what on their balls? The tens unit. The tens unit. Yeah, I'm sure somebody did. I mean,
Otherwise, they wouldn't fucking say that.
People being curious and what can I get off on now?
I can't go halfway on that.
But then by the same token...
This is actually painful.
By the same token, I used to know this guy named Vince when I was in the service. He was a third-class petty officer when I was still a seaman. And then I made third-class petty officer, and then I made second-class petty officer, and Vince got busted from third class back to seaman.
So fucking petty.
For doing, what he did wasn't petty. It was pretty bad. But anyways, he came running up into the bosun locker one afternoon when we were at sea, and he's, boats, I fucked up, boats. He held up his finger, and he had a zip tie around his finger, as tight as it could be, and the damn tip of it was turning black. He had cut off the blood to his finger. I was like, what? Boats, it hurts. So then I had to break out my knife and very carefully cut that damn thing off his finger.
You got no fucking razor blades or scissors?
No, nobody, people do all kinds of silly stuff.
Why? I want to see what happens if they...
Who was the first guy that put rubber bands around his sack? I mean, there's people out there that did that. It wasn't the best idea. It was probably a stupid idea, but they did it anyway. So there's no counting for what people will do, man. I mean, what is that? I was watching a video on. I was watching a video. Well, I was playing some stuff on YouTube, some jazz on YouTube, and one of the commercials was a rather humorous commercial. It was a doctor in an emergency room who was telling, more or less letting people know that no, stuff does not end up accidentally in your butt. Don't lie to us. Just tell us what happened. We're not here to judge you or
I tripped and fell.
Whatever. You didn't trip and fall and it ended up in your butt. That just doesn't happen.
Actually, know a guy. I like to read his stories about all the strange things he's had to pull out of people's asses, and he keeps going on like, okay, look, for the thousandth time, if you're gonna put something up your ass, flared base, okay?
Flared base. Make sure you can get it out.
Fucking hell, I'm tired of pulling shit out of your ass.
Oh, man. Okay, so I'm going to start out with a few observations today. Okay, Richard has made it known that, I tend to get a little political on this program, but yeah, some things are so damn stupid. Oh. Well, I read this story about 2 weeks ago. So I guess it's been for about 8 weeks now. One of the major news outlets, I can't remember exactly which one it was, released a story just recently that as of 8 weeks ago, Pam Bondi's Department of Justice has instructed ICE and Homeland Security that they no longer require warrants to go after suspects. Wow. I mean, just what the hell? I remember distinctly, I had a friend that was living upstairs here at the time.
Well, I'm no longer required to keep your fucking pieces unloaded.
No, you're not.
Or locked up.
But I remember that
because I've just decided so, just as fucking they have.
Well, he was going through a divorce at the time when he was living here. And let's just say he played some dirty tricks on his soon-to-be ex-wife. They had a joint bank account. And he was withdrawing funds that weren't exactly his from there. And after about 2 months or so, he finally, got himself back on his feet and whatnot and found himself his own place and everything. About 3 months later, there's knocking on the front window of the house. I'm like, what the hell? Who's that? Middle of the day. And I went and looked out the window, and it's 2 Bexar County sheriffs. And they're going, one guy's standing there. Yeah, we're here to see Jim McKelvey. Okay. And I'm talking to him through the window. I said, okay, so do you have a warrant? No, we don't currently. Then get off of my property. You're not coming in my house. You're not coming on my property. Get off of my property. Go away. And they had to leave because due to lack of due process. So now Pam Bondi under, I like to call him Biff. Okay. If you remember the character from Back to the Future. That jackass, right? Yeah. But Pam Bondi, under the direction of Biff, has directed Homeland Security and ICE to start arresting people without warrants, breaking into their homes and arresting without warrants. Now, you're going to be going, well, this is only on illegal aliens and gang members. And, well, we've already learned that they've been arresting the wrong people. They've sent the wrong people away, admitted it, and won't bring them back. And what's to make you think that you're not next? I mean, Biff's already started making noises about, I want to send American criminals to foreign countries for life and get rid of them so they're not in our country anymore. Who in their right mind would accept these people to begin with?
The old, I don't know if it's a poem or just or whatever. It's like first they came for, and then they came for la la la, and they came blah blah blah, and then they came for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're a little far
down that road already.
Into that.
I was reading something about that online just the other day. That we're beyond the beginning of that. We're about halfway through now,
at least.
Yeah, and it's getting closer. And anybody who doesn't believe that, oh my Lord. And then there's
it's not a savory thought. So why even think about it? Wait for it to come to your door, then I guess.
By then it's too late. Mm-hmm. And the Ugly Bunny says it's too late. Yes, the Ugly Bunny. We still have Sock Monkeys. And we got the Ugly Sock Monkey. And now we got a new character. We got the Ugly Bunny. Now, if I had about 20 of these, I'd probably sit here and break him. But no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I like my Ugly Bunny. And now there's the administration is attacking the judiciary. The executive branch is attacking the judiciary branch. Just because they don't agree with them and decide that, yes, you committed a crime, even though they've committed numerous more crimes by ignoring what the judiciary told them. and they've started arresting judges.
This motherfucker could
wow.
eat a baby. This motherfucker could barbecue and eat a baby on live TV, and nothing would change.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
I don't think that there's there.
No,
I just
the American public has given me hope. They really have. If you have been following the news of late, in the past month or so, because of Bernie Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez, they've been having these rallies around the nation, which are numbering in tens of thousands of people showing up at the rallies and speaking out against. Okay. And as a result of this, more independent rallies that aren't being called for by Bernie and AOC are beginning to pop up in cities all over the country.
Good.
Where the politicians, most of them, are afraid to say anything for fear of their own political life.
Oh, yeah.
The people are beginning to speak. This is like the Vietnam War all over again. I remember when I was a kid and lived through the Vietnam War and what was going on then and watching the protests and such. As an Air Force brat, I was brought up to believe that the only thing a draft dodger deserved was a bullet in the head. But then I learned a little differently from that as I grew older.
We're in the goddamn business.
Yeah. People got their own moral judgments to make and what they can or can't live with. And arresting judges just because they don't agree with you, they're perceived as a political enemy? No. No, that's against the Constitution. That's one branch of the government trying to usurp the other branch of the government.
The what?
And that's illegal. Usurp. Usurp. That's the word for today is usurp.
Or is it usurp?
Usurp. Well, I like to go usurp.
I swear to God, I don't know how to
You say potato, I say potato. But that's your word for today. You've got to figure out what that word means. I'm not going to tell you.
You say potato?
Potato.
You sick fuck.
Papas.
Papas. I was like, I was telling people like, if you want to like, wish somebody, say, I love you, Dad, or Happy New Year in Spanish. Make sure you get the accents right.
What's the name of his press secretary? I can Kaylee something or rather.
I can't get this thing to work. I don't know.
But anyways, Kaylee or whatever his press secretary's name is. Let me see. I'll try to play with it later. Maybe you got to pull something out.
It may be missing a part. I don't know.
Where'd you get it at?
Amazon.
Where?
It was not expensive, so I might be missing something. I don't know.
Okay. What the hell? I'd make it work.
I've been fucking with that thing.
What have you been doing? Just blowing it?
Yes.
No, I told you. Hum. You gotta hum into that. It's a kazoo, man. It's a 2-year-old child can operate the damn thing.
I'm not used to giving hummers, John. I'm not used to giving hummers.
Well, you better get used to it if you want to use it. Yeah, but his press secretary the other day, she said what was perhaps the most honest thing she has said in the 100 plus days they've been in office. She said they are fighting against law and order. Mind you, it was a Freudian slip on her part. Maybe she didn't realize what she was saying at the time. But it's the most honest thing she has said in the 100 plus days since this administration has been in office. Yeah, they're definitely fighting against law. Okay. And I'm sure you're tired of hearing about it. But also in other news, now this is interesting. You may enjoy this. We have, here in the States, scientists have learned how to grow a human tooth, in the laboratory. Now, you're thinking, wow, that's pretty cool. That's great. That's a new way that dentistry will be revolutionized or what?
They've also been 3D printing them too.
No.
For crowns.
Yeah. But
Crowns.
wrong answer. The Japanese again have done it one better. The Japanese have created a drug that blocks the protein that keeps teeth from growing after the second set comes in, after your adult teeth come in. They've been testing this on animals, and they're in the process of doing human tests now to where people are growing third sets of teeth.
Holy shit. That's...
Just when you think you got it all figured out, damn it, here come the Japanese. They're doing it one better.
I mean, I didn't enjoy my first set of teeth. I didn't enjoy my baby teeth falling out, but I probably wouldn't enjoy my current set of teeth falling out. But the idea of growing a third set of teeth, okay, what's the benefit to it? Do they grow in a bit more awesome and pointy? Or are we going to end up looking like Ferengi? Or,
I don't know. They're still in trial, so we have to wait and see. I'm not so much concerned with the shape or the social acceptability of what they look like at all. That doesn't concern me in the least bit. Here's my question. If they've developed a drug that blocks the protein, that blocks that third set of teeth growing in, how do they know where that third set of teeth is going to grow at? Hey, John, is that your asshole whistling? It sure is.
yeah, it's...
Any orifice you got, it'll grow a tooth. Oh, my God. That's a nightmare.
We know how to grow a human ear off the back of a rat.
Once again, the Japanese have outdone us, but then again, the Japanese have Godzilla! And that's what this is. It could be Godzilla! And no, I don't have a Godzilla doll. I wish I did.
I'm going to have to keep that in mind for Christmas.
Huh?
I'm going to keep that in mind for Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I'll get you one of those big, stupid blow-up ones. You're going to have
Godzilla!
to struggle to find a place to put it.
Oh, man. We'll sit him here between us. He'll be part of the show.
He'll do weather. Right? He'll do weather.
Now, back in 1975, my family had the pleasure or displeasure.
I still can't fucking believe this shit.
Oh, that I can use it.
I was just blowing into it. Okay. Anyway, all right. I'll play with that later.
Okay.
I'll play with that later. Now I know.
But we went to the country of Turkey. Went to an air base there called Incirlik CDI Turkey.
Fucking delicious.
What is? Turkey?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's very delicious.
I'm so dumb.
It's Thanksgiving and we're talking about Turkey. No, it's just past Cinco de Mayo, man. So, hey, we got some time yet. But anyways, we ended up in Turkey, Incirlik, Turkey. We were living in Adana, Turkey, which was just outside of, which Incirlik is just outside of. And like most new families who were assigned to the base, there was no room for us in base housing, so we had to live in downtown. And much to our surprise, we were living in an apartment that was on a main bus line, about 2, maybe 3 blocks from the railroad station there in Incirlik, on Zia Pasha Boulevard. And that apartment was huge. It was bigger than the house most people live in, huge. I had grown up all my life, well, not all my life, most of my life, sharing a bedroom with 2 brothers. Now, when there's 3 adolescent males growing up and sharing the same bedroom and coughing and burping and farting and everything else all night long, it gets kind of tiresome after a while. This place was huge. It was very airy, had a lot of windows and doors you could open up, and so you didn't have to hear the coming out of somebody's asshole.
How to use it. See, now I'm trying to layer this shit. See if I can get the.
Oh, you're going for the hat trick, man. Hang on a second. Do it, and I'll work this
I
into
think
it.
now there's too much. There's too much of an.
Yeah, let him see. No, try it.
I'm gonna close. This looks wrong.
That didn't work.
You know what? I'll just I'll glue some of this shit together.
Well, we just need to get
For
some
next
duct
time?
tape.
Or hot glue.
Duct tape, man. That way it doesn't have to stick together all the time.
Well, not
Just
hot
unduct
glue.
tape it.
But-
But glue. Think of all the horses that died for the glue.
I can hit with both of these, man.
So,
So I like now. How do I don't know if I wanted to attach to the thing, but maybe possibly the I don't. Well, you gotta.
no. Let's see. Let me see this here.
You're gonna have to.
Here, you work that thing. It doesn't work.
No.
See,
Yeah,
now you
it's too
see, you
much.
could talk to this too. You're able to speak to it if you know how.
Son of a bitch.
I knew how to make a trumpet fart. I was like last chair, but I had to make that trumpet fart.
Living in Turkey, there were cultural differences. You know, things that we weren't prepared for, weren't warned about, weren't told about, and whatnot. Now, my brother Joseph, when we moved to Turkey, was about, 10 years old, I guess. Maybe 9. And being a 9, 10-year-old and playing on the streets, he would go down the street and he made Turkish friends, of the other kids who lived in the building. And within 2 months, the kid was speaking fluent Turkish. Young minds, they work that way. They absorb stuff like that, And one day, the Kapıcı. Now, the Kapıcı is like the super of the building. He's a guy who lives in an apartment in the basement of the building with his family. And he's there kind of like doorman, maintenance man, / building slave. He does whatever you tell him to do. At least that's the way the Turks who lived in the building treated him. They treated him like he was subhuman. Now, like my dad, the Kapıcı would always come up the apartment on the 3rd floor we lived at and knock on the door and ask my dad, do you need anything tonight? And Papa would go, yeah, why don't you go down to the little store there on the 1st floor and pick me up a couple of quarts of beer. And he would give him 14 lira. I'm sorry, 2 lira, which was the equivalent of 14 cents. Yes, a quart of beer cost 14 cents. And the Kapıcı would go down, he'd buy the beer, he'd come back, and then my dad would tip him an American $1 bill, which was worth considerable more lira. You have to realize 100 lira at that time, I think, was $7 in American. So a dollar was a lot of lira.
When I think it was when my father was stationed in I can't remember, it was Greece or Portugal or something like that. He would take a cab around. They know you're American. They wouldn't ask for money. Cigaretto?
Cigarette, yes.
He wanted some of the smokes from off base.
Right. You wanted some of the American cigarettes.
It's like, I'll take that as payment.
That's called the black market.
He's like, yeah, sure.
So anyways, the Kapıcı, he comes running up to the building one day, and he's got my little brother, Joey, by the scruff of the neck, in the back of his shirt. And he's knocking on the door. Dad answers the door and sees him standing there holding Joey, and he goes, "What the hell? Ali, what's going on?" He says, "Your son speaks Turkish." Yes, he speaks very good Turkish now. He just called me San Orospu Cucular. And my dad's like, "What? What are you talking about? What's?" Son, Oro Spooja Jeweler, son of a bitch. Joey's friends had told him that it meant, you're a nice man. He didn't know what the hell he was saying. Needless to say, the kids who taught Joey that phrase, they got their little asses whooped. Cultural differences.
I did. Okay, you know what? I told my brother that Shaiskov meant something like "I love you" or or I want ice cream or
I remember that word. I can't remember what it stands for.
Shithead.
Yeah, Shaiskov.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You're right. I remember that. German.
And parents, where the fuck did you hear that? Where the fuck did you hear that? And then they look straight over at me, and I'm like, no. Because hey, he would fuck stuff up and blame it on me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I don't speak German.
Now, going along in that vein, cultural differences. They're seeing guys pushing wooden carts with wooden wheels down the street, you know, the main street there in the city, was nothing unusual. You know, you had the bush man who would buy anything. He'd only pay you cheap though. Worn jeans, worn out appliances, whatever. The bush man would buy it. And then there were the guys that were pushing carts that were filled with fruits or with vegetables, you know, up and down the street and selling fresh fruit and vegetables. Well, about the second weekend when we're finally at our new apartment, and I'm standing up there on the balcony of the third floor, and I'm looking down, I see a guy with a cart full of peaches. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, so I've already got a pretty, you know, I've got something of an idea of how the monetary system works. I had $1 in my pocket. Okay. So I figured, okay, that's plenty of money right there. And I ran down, you know, and I got in the elevator and I went down the street and I stopped the guy. I said, yeah, peach. And he gave me this look that you wouldn't believe. He was pissed. And I kept pointing at the cart, peach. Until finally, Ali the Kapachi, he walked up, no, John, no. Peach mean bastard in Turkish. We had a lot to learn back then. We had an awful lot to learn.
Well, I just learned something.
What's that? That I could play a kazoo?
That too. Sometimes.
Well, most of the time. When I remember.
2 out of 3.
It's not that hard.
Those are. That's pretty good odds.
But yeah, we had a lot of cultural differences. Now, when I lived in Turkey, one of my best friends was Billy the Freak Young. I was John Bozo Castillo. His mother lovingly gave me that name. And it's sort of stuck over the years. And me and Billy liked to party a lot back in those days. Well, unfortunately, his 14-year-old sister seemed to think it was cool to hang around with us as much as often and party with us. Even though we really didn't want her to, she was always hanging around. So one afternoon, we're walking down Zia Pasha Boulevard. We're down by the marketplace opposite in from the railway station. You know, we're talking maybe a mile to maybe 3 miles away from the railroad station. And we're passing Ataturk Park. And, of course, Robin is tagging along, being a pest. So finally I looked at Billy. You know what, man? I'm tired of your little sister being here. Robin, I'm tired of you being here. Why do you keep hanging with us? Because I want to party. I want to be cool, just like you. Which, of course, you know, the rest of school didn't consider Billy and I and those who hung out with us cool. You know, we were trouble. That's all there was to it, trouble. So I looked at Billy. You know what? I could solve this problem. He goes, what do you mean? What are you talking about? You can solve this problem. We sell your sister to a Turk. And sure as hell, we found this old Turk sitting there in the park by himself. And we more or less through gestures and language and as best we could made it understood that we were selling Robin for 7 lira. We turned around, sold her to him. He was a happy old bastard. Took her by the hand, started marching down the street. She's, let me go, freaking out and everything. We let him take her maybe about 25, 30 yards down the road before we finally went back and got her.
All right, Bandera Bowl.
Yeah.
Bandera, my dad, his cousins, my uncles and all that, and their mom, my grandma. We're all there, and they're just, bowling and all this. And this fucking dude came up and wanted to buy my grandma.
Oh, God.
Like, she's not for sale? It's like, no, I will seriously buy your grandma. And now they're getting pissed. They're getting ready to throw hands. So like, what the fuck? What the I still laugh, but I can't help it. It's like, they wanted to buy my grandma?
No, you just triggered a memory in my head.
My grandma's fucking awesome, but she makes this crazy ass good like banana pudding with vanilla wafers in it and all that. I don't know where that came. I just think my grandma sent it. So she's just, fuck it.
You just triggered a memory, man. At one point,
a bowling alley. Who goes to a fucking bowling alley to buy somebody's grandma?
Apparently, a lot of guys, I mean, a lot of people probably been doing that one. I mean, Christ.
I would expect something like that off of Marbach, but Bandera?
I mean, I could see them walking up to Granny, teeth or no teeth. Oh, God, never mind. I didn't go there.
Yeah, I did. Gummer. They get gummers.
Billy and I, we would make friends with the GIs on base, right? And a lot of times we'd get caught partying in their rooms up in the barracks, and the MPs, the SPs, they would just throw us out of the barracks and tell us not to come back. And of course, a half hour after they left, we were back up in the room and partying again. But during this time that we were meeting all these different people and whatnot, all these different guys that were in the Air Force, we met one guy named Dave. Dave was sort of a slight, thin-built kind of fella, young fella. And Billy and I sort of felt sorry for him because he was kind of dumb, and we called him, we privately referred to him as Dumb Dave.
I wasn't expecting that.
But for those of you who are going, well, that's pretty judgmental on your part. Wait till you hear the whole story. So we took Dumb Dave back to Billy's house one day, and we're all sitting around the dinner table. Myself, Billy, his sister Robin, his sister Kathy, his mom and dad, and we're having dinner. I was a regular guest at the house for dinner. Billy and I would eat at each other's houses all the time. As we're sitting there eating dinner, Dumb Dave suddenly looks up and he looks at Billy's dad, Charlie, and he looks at her, at his mom, Betty, and he goes, I know it's kind of forward, but would it be okay if I fucked Robin? I'm not shitting you. That's exactly what this dumb motherfucker said at the table. Would it be okay if I fucked Robin? I'm sitting there going, what the fuck? And Billy's just
trying to get permission.
Getting ready to panic and whatnot. And then Mom Young looks at us and he goes, John, Billy, I'm blaming you for this. We're like, yeah. And Charlie's just sitting there laughing his ass off. He's like, son, if you think you're going to fuck my daughter, I'm about to beat the living shit out of you. Couldn't believe. Dumb Dave, man. You just triggered that memory in my damn Dumb Dave. Holy shit, man.
You ready for an... Oh, no. You still got
could be. Sorry, I'm falling behind on my beer drinking here. Now, when I was there in Turkey,
I was not expecting
I dated my fair share of girls. The first girl I dated was a young lady named Cindy. I won't tell you her last name. I will tell you that her nickname was Bulldog. Okay. And no, it wasn't because of the way she looked. Her Letterman jacket from the school she was from in the States, their mascot was Bulldog, so she became known as Cindy Bulldog, last name. And I was 17, inexperienced, a little handsy. She didn't appreciate it, so needless to say, that didn't last very long. Then, after her, I ended up starting to date another Cindy. She was a little more refined, a little on the exotic looking side, which was fine by me. I love exotic women. You know. But after the experience with the first Cindy, I was minding my P's and Q's. Which, with this Cindy, was the wrong way to go. She obviously, at the time, was looking forward to having me and her have fun. But I was still a virgin, and I felt I was too young for that. And
So
didn't
you were going
reciprocate.
kind of...
Huh? No, she was going, and I was like, so as a result, since I wouldn't sleep with her, she broke up with me and ended up with another fella. About 6 months later, a new girl her family showed up at Insulet. Her name was Becky. Very attractive Hispanic girl. First Spanish girl I've ever dated with blonde hair. I don't particularly care for blondes myself. Don't care for blue-eyed blonde hair women. You know, they just never really attracted me all that much. Very few of them do. But Becky did. So I took Becky down a Saturday. I took her downtown. She lived not too far.
Was it the boobs, be honest? Was it the boobs?
Huh? The what?
Was it the boobs?
No, I like small-breasted women. I love small-breasted women. If a woman's jugs are like this, I'm not really interested.
You know what my favorite kind of boobs are?
Huh.
The ones that are happy to have me nearby.
No, my favorite kind are small. I've always been a firm believer of more than a mouthful is a waste.
Well,
but
we don't
anyways.
discriminate here.
I have my standards, you know. Anyways, Becky and I picked her up, and we went down to the marketplace. And we were watching them make hot bread. Fresh hot bread. Ekmek, as we called it. Down the marketplace at the bakery. And on the way back from the marketplace, and once again, Ataturk Park, again, figures in this, we were walking down the street.
Did
We were
you guys
obviously-
ask to buy a bitch again or something?
No. We were obviously Americans because we were wearing Levi blue jeans. That's how they told you that you were an American. You're wearing Levi's. And this little gang of kids between, say, 9 and 13 surrounded us. And started holding their hands up and begging in Turkish for money, money, money. You know? And, of course, her being brand new to the country, she wasn't used to that and whatnot, having been there about a year or so. You know, no big deal. They do this all the time. So what I did is I told her, when I tell you run, run. She goes, what are you going to do? Watch. I reached in my hand, in my pocket, pulled out about 30 cents of change, and threw it down the street. These kids went running off like jackrabbits after that 30 cents. I grabbed her hand. Run! And we outran the gang. It was her first introduction to the Turkish culture, so to speak.
You are an asshole.
I work at it sometimes.
Ready for another beer?
Yeah, I am. I can do another.
Here you go.
Ooh, what's this?
What's it say?
Bunny with a chainsaw, double dry hopped hazy India Pale Ale. Ooh, his cuteness will cut you to pieces. You got to see this. I got to put this up to the camera where they can see a bunny with a chainsaw. Wow. And here we were. Ugly bunny. Now we got bunny with a chainsaw. Oh, man, we got to try this.
I've never tried this before. I'm used to IPAs, but I've never tried. I had to buy this on principle alone, okay? When I saw it, I'm like,
Well,
all right.
bunny with a chainsaw. I mean, hell.
Yeah.
And the bunny's so damn cute.
You know how to get money out of me.
Wow.
You can sell fucking wheel beer.
My only question is, what does the P on the chainsaw stand for?
I don't know. I
do.
Um,
Stands for panic. Panic because you got a bunny with a chainsaw. You never watched, what is it? Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
Oh, God,
the
yeah.
deadly. This is the same damn thing.
we don't have
He
it
just
on
changed
Holy
his
Hendrix
image
here.
is all. Oh, we got to open them.
I've never tried this shit before. It could be terrible.
Could be terrible. It could be incredible, or it could be.
I hope it's not bad because it was not cheap. Now I'm gonna count down for 3, and then
Okay.
I'm gonna drink. Yep.
Count down.
3, 2, 1.
It's got a nice citrusy tart taste to it.
It's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all.
I swear to God, you were gonna make an awful thing. Like,
It's got a great it's got a grapefruity taste. You know, it's
not everybody knows that.
no. This is like Shiner.
Shiner.
Yeah, Shiner does a great does a beer
Oh,
called
yeah,
Ruby
Ruby
Red.
Redbird.
Ruby Redbird. It's got
That was
grapefruit
good.
juice in it, and
That was good.
this one tastes pretty much the same. I like it.
It's probably about twice as strong though.
One of these nights, what we need to do is we need to do a show where we do nothing but drink beer and we rate the beers as we drink them. Get about 10 or 15 different beer. You know, I mean, you could do that over at HEB. You can buy them individually.
We have the problem that our judgment is going to be altered about halfway through.
That's part of the fun.
It's like you could be drinking like a Chimay, and be like, "This tastes like ass."
Hey, man, I mean, that's part of the fun, man. So, you know, I don't know what this is, but it's making me feel things I don't want to feel. Oh, stop it. Stop the pain.
Okay, well, I mean, honestly, was it worth what I paid for it? I don't know. Hang on.
I don't know. What'd you pay for it?
It was like $15 for a 4-pack.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's $3.50 a beer? It's an interesting taste for $3.50.
I mean, that I could have gotten some dragon's milk.
No.
I don't know if you've ever gotten that.
Well, back in the day, back in Boston, back in the late 80s, you could get, no, it was the mid-90s, you could get, oh, what the hell?
It's working pretty good.
What's that Irish beer? You have to drink it with a knife and a fork.
Guinness?
Guinness. You could order a Guinness for $4 back then. It would take 3 minutes for him to pour it. I mean, literally, the guy would tip the glass, start pouring it. It looked like nothing but foam's coming out, but it's very slow, very methodical, very wow.
It's got a thing in it, the widget.
No. That's the garbage they put into the cans here in Texas. In Boston, it's served on tap.
Oh.
It's the real deal. It would take 3 minutes to pour a proper Guinness.
I've been told it's pretty much like a meal.
Well, you'd have to drink it with a knife and fork. Tasted like yeasty bread. It was just wow. It was incredible. I loved it.
Oh, fuck.
One of my favorite things. Going back to our cultural differences. You know, this is a culture difference right here. We were coming back from this is back when I still lived off base. My family still lived off base, in Adana, Turkey, instead of living on the base itself. And we had these two friends who were going to high school with us, that we had met there. I won't tell you their last name, but Dante and his sister Florida. And Dante and my brother were real good friends. Florida and I were passing acquaintances, but friendly with each other. And I was sitting on the last bus back to downtown from the base that night with Florida. And she was an exceptionally attractive young lady. I think she was part Philippine, part American, or part Mexican or something, but she had a mix in there that just worked, very well. And we were going back to the city, and this drunk Turk walked up to her and started making advances. Now, the thing you have to understand about Turkey at the time, and it probably still carries to this day, I suppose, they had what was known as the insult law. A Turk could say pretty much anything they want to you, and get away with it. You could not say anything back to them without risking being arrested under the insult law for insulting them. This, backassery jackword bullshit, right? So he's standing there in the aisle of the bus, and he's making all kinds of remarks and such to her.
We'd be in prison, John.
Huh?
We'd be in prison, John.
Well, obviously I never ended up in prison. I somehow got away with it. But he was making all these insulting remarks to her and such. At which point, I was sitting a couple of seats back.
I mean, you don't have to say anything. You just fold his ass.
Well, yeah. I got up, sort of pushed past him in a rather rude manner, stood there in front of Florida, turned around and faced him and told him to back off. He was rather insistent that he was engaged with the young lady in front of him, and he didn't want to speak to me, to which, of course, I told her, well, that's my sister. And we've got a problem. Of course, she wasn't my sister, but, So then he's like, okay, fine, I'll fight you. I said, okay, fine, I'll kick your ass. And of course, I probably would have, I was a pretty good-sized fella back then. And he proceeded to take off his jacket. Well, me think, that's probably a smart move because, the jacket would restrain my ability to throw punches and such. So I took off my jacket.
You don't want to get blood on it.
Handed it to Florida. Then he proceeded to take off his shirt. At this point, I'm like, what? He's down to his T-shirt.
And then he dropped
and I'm standing... Well, he came close to taking off his pants until I told him, wait a minute. Why are you taking off your pants? I fight better without pants. I said, why are we going to fight if you're going to fight without pants? Ha ha, you funny American. He and I became somewhat friendly. Ended up drinking. And of course...
That's pretty goddamn funny.
Yeah. Of course, Florida was very grateful, Still wouldn't date me, but that's okay. I didn't mind that. She was someone who was in trouble at the time, and I decided to stand up for her. Now, at the time, I was doing a radio show on base, and of course, while all this is going on, one of the airmen back there, yeah, you're going to get that insult law, and you ain't going to be doing that radio jock stuff no more, are you? That kind of thing. That never occurred to me. I mean, just, a friend was in trouble, so I stepped in and cultural differences. I didn't realize you had to strip naked in order to fight. We're back where I come from. That's considered an insult. You want to rub what against my what? What the hell's wrong with you?
Well, that's how you become friends. Friends for life.
Another one of those girlfriends for life. I don't know about that, brother. I don't play swords with anybody.
Oh, not even with me?
No.
Oh, yeah, that's where yeah. Claymore is a little bunch versus a Dirk.
Yeah, but the Dirk is sneaky. Oh, I thought that was your belly button. Jesus. Okay, well, we went there.
By the way, we're 50 minutes.
Okay, so
Just want to let you know. Not that it matters.
okay,
I don't care.
my first experience with their culinary style over there was the day after we got to Turkey. Our sponsor took us to a place called the Bengal Restaurant on Zia Pasha Boulevard and sat us down.
No windows. We're not upgrading
Yes.
to 11 just yet.
Yet.
Thank you very fucking much.
So they took us to this restaurant and they sat us down and they started ordering all these different Turkish foods. Now, a lot of the Turkish cuisine is based around lamb.
Yeah.
And I had never had lamb before in my life.
Fucking delicious.
You know? Oh, it was amazing. Jesus, it was good. One of the things, though, that was sitting on the table that at first I didn't recognize until I remembered hunting a rabbit one time. And I looked at this dish and I go, is that something's brains? And our sponsor looked, oh yeah, that's baked sheep brains. It's a delicacy here. Okay. Well, needless to say, nobody in my family was interested in eating that except me, being a culinary adventurer that I
I
am.
mean, I was about to ask, how long have you lived here?
Yeah. No, I'm a culinary adventurer, so yeah. So I had my first helping of sheep brains on crackers. Those of you who've never had sheep brains, it's got sort of a spongy, creamy, rubbery texture to it. Has no real taste. You know, you got to put salt and pepper on it. But I've had worse than that. And seeing as we're getting close to the 1 hour mark, I got one last story for you.
Organ meat is just. I don't know. I mean, I have had noodle. I don't know maybe if you remember. Mondo Mora.
Yeah, I remember Armando.
Yeah, he would fuck up his computer about every 2 weeks, and I'd have to go over and unfuck it, and he'd pay me in food and beer. I'm like, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, Armando Mora, man. The guy, unfortunately, who had a face like a frog.
A frog.
Think about it. Remember his face, man. He reminded me of a frog.
I'm starting to forget his face. I just know that, about every 2 weeks I'd have to go over there. I was like, man, why do you let your kids use this? But I have to reinstall everything and all that shit. And while I'm doing that,
Reinstall everything.
what?
Reinstall everything.
Yep. It was we used the FCKGWRHQQ2 code, and then immediately go in and slap in like Service Pack 2, and then you're allowed on the internet, and then I don't think Service Pack 3 was. There was no Service Pack 3. It was just like a courtesy update, but maybe there was. I don't remember. I'm probably confusing with the 7. Anyway, they made menudo. Now, okay, if you're at an actual Mexican making actual Mexican food, it's usually pretty good. And it was. The texture was strange. It was kind of like eating a sponge that would fall apart. I was like,
Yeah.
Huh? Okay. All right. But it didn't taste as organ-y, I guess. I don't know.
As you would expect.
Yeah, as I would expect. No. This was actually legitimately good. I've never had lengua, and I've never had brains, goat brains, but
Yeah, menudo, man.
No,
The tripe. Tripe, yeah.
Fucking tripes.
Tripe
The
in Spanish,
fucking-
tripe in English.
The fucking crunchy shit.
Oh, no, not.
Never goddamn again. Fuck that shit. Tastes like goddamn ass warmed over. Fuck that. It's like, oh no, man, that's great. You just don't understand. It's like, oh, believe me, I
He was
understand.
right.
This
He was
tastes
right.
like fucking ass.
It was good. It was good.
The crunchy shit.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved everything about Menudo, man. Menudo was
No.
the
Three best. Try it.
when you had a hangover.
Crunchy tripe.
Yeah, but when you had a hangover, you ate Menudo, and it would cure your hangover like that.
Again, tripe,
Yeah,
not menudo.
stomach, chopped up stomach. That's what tripe is. Tripe is in Menudo.
Okay, whatever the fuck I ate in this sloppy ass.
Yeah, that was tripe. Tripe is sliced up
You
into
remember
little
the
squares.
The ESD, the wooden little not pergola. Got that thing that we would all go and smoke in and set on fire occasionally.
Yeah,
The gazebo.
The gazebo, yeah.
Yeah. There's this dude. I was like, hey, you want to try this? You ever try this? I was like, I've never tried that. Let's go ahead and give it a go. I'm not very picky. I'll eat just about. I'm a goddamn garbage disposal.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in front of me, I'll fucking eat it. No, never again. I don't know where this guy got this shit from, but sorry, can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it as much as I would. And like that taste lingered for like at least 6 hours. Like.
I'm almost thinking you were eating chicharron.
I don't know. He might have shit in the fucking
No,
tortilla and given it to me as a
and
joke.
it was
I don't know.
real hard and crunchy and hard to bite through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you were eating. What he was doing. His Menudo would have tripe in it. The tripe would have been the spongy square stuff.
I know chicharron
Okay.
is, but
chicharron, he probably breaking it up and then throwing it in there on top of it.
no, like these were very tube shaped.
Tube shaped.
Yeah.
It doesn't
and
sound like Menudo to me.
I've been saying it's not menudo. It's fucking. It was tubes. Okay, whatever this was.
Yeah, I know
like-
people that hate Menudo. My ex-wife hated Menudo.
I'm
She
like,
couldn't stand the smell of it.
what the fuck did you just make me put in my mouth? You know, like I mean, I swallowed it to be polite, but I'm like, you ever get near me with that shit again? In fact, I'm backing off 3 feet now.
The thing about it, yeah, but the thing about it is, he didn't make you do anything. You did that willingly.
No. This guy was like the complete opposite of me. He was like, I was like, God damn it. You know, I'm sweating bullets. He's like, oh, I love the summer. Oh, I love it. I'm like, why? He's like, and he goes, have you ever tried any of these? And, what is that? I was like, oh, no, I've never tried that. Here, give it a shot. Maybe this guy was fucking with me. I don't know. But
Could have been feeding you fried horse turds, man, for all I know.
well, then he was eating fried horse turds too.
He was immune. He'd eaten them before.
Some fucking nasty ass shit. I'm sorry. That was like, you know, I've had like some actual, when we say like, you know, like Tex-Mex. Tex-Mex is one thing. Actual Mexican food is very different.
Yeah, when you go to like say a Thai
And
restaurant,
whatever this wasn't Mexican food or Tex-Mex. It was fucking pulled right out of the Garden of Satan. I don't know what the fuck it was.
It's like when you go to a Thai restaurant for the first time and they serve you fish oil. Man, that's some pungent stuff. That fish oil is really pungent and it has a taste to it that just knocks you on your ass.
A lot of times they'll say like, okay, what
it's
kind of
it's
heat
an
do you
acquired
want?
taste.
Do you want?
No, fish oil has
1
nothing to do with the
10?
heat, though.
And then you're like, I'll say 10, but that's not the actual 10. You have to tell them, I want an actual 10.
No.
And
What you
because
tell
they,
them,
they know gringo is not, well, that's not what
what you tell them is you want it Thai hot. I went to a restaurant once in Austin where we were having Thai food, and the guy, the waiter, he asked me, you know, what do you want? I said, I want this and I want that. He goes, how hot, 1 through 10? I said, well, what's the hottest you got? Thai hot. You know have Thai hot. Thai hot. But you know have. I said, yeah, bring me Thai hot.
Motherfucker, bring me Thai hot.
So he brought me Thai hot. I think it was called nuclear something, nuclear shrimp or something. But anyways, he brought the dish. I sat there, started eating it. And as I'm eating it, my face breaks out in this very heavy sweat. And I'm turning red. And I'm enjoying the hell out of this. About that time, the owner comes up and he goes, "I very concerned for you. You eat Thai hot."
Yeah?
I said, "Yes." "You sweat." Yes."
You anus gonna yell at you later.
"You okay?" I said, "Yes." He was
Okay,
actually
I have a potato.
he was concerned about my well-being because I was eating Thai hot, and then he looks at me, "You eat like Thai man." I was like, "Mexican."
Yeah.
Been eating like this all my life, man.
Well, you do develop
A tolerance.
a tolerance to capsaicin. Yes. So like when we were back in San Francisco, I was like, we went to a Thai place, and I was like, and Jen ordered something like I don't know 3. And I was like 10. I was like, you sure? 10. And it was delicious. It was hot, delicious, and I'm certain that's not the hottest they could have gone.
No.
Okay, now I know Thai hot. But the only actually
By the way, what does your T-shirt say today?
oh, that says author and Punisher.
Author and Punisher?
Author and Punisher.
Nice.
Okay, you remember a couple weeks ago when I did have you watch one of his videos. I said he was the guy, he was the engineer that he made his own instrument.
Yeah.
And you were like, this sounds like shit. It's just a bunch of noise. Okay, we saw him live back on Sunday night. Sunday night. Fucking incredible. It was at the Paper Tiger. It used to be the White Rabbit. Same thing. Very tiny place.
Down in St. Mary's.
We were about maybe 6 feet away from the guy. And every time he would hit this thing, it was like being punched in the chest.
Wow.
The bass, I was like, and then when he would do his fucking around with like the sustained bass, it was like getting a massage. It was nice, and it sounded good. And he opened up his little merch booth. And he wasn't headlining. There was some other band after them, and yeah, I went over there and shook his hand. I was like, dude, yeah, fuck it, dude,
No,
Tristan. It's like I showed you in the Discord.
Just, I mean,
I had my arm around. Yeah, that's the guy.
It just goes to show you everybody's got different tastes.
That's the guy.
Yeah.
I was trying to buy 3 shirts. The guy didn't hear me say the 3rd shirt, so I had to do that on my own. And bought an album, one of them that I didn't have.
Yeah.
But
It's like I'm a big Philip Glass fan, you know?
yeah, and you're like, what the fuck is this noise? And it's like, it's just, it's an acquired taste, I guess. I mean, I'll listen to all kinds of different shit. But,
Yeah, I've got a similar story with Philip Glass. Well, the city mayor of San Antonio used to be Henry Cisneros. He was the first Hispanic to be a mayor of a major city in the U.S. And Henry's brother is George Cisneros, who's an artist and musician. And through a mutual friend, I met George Cisneros. And George turned out, and his wife Kat turned out to be very nice people, very cool people. You know, very out there, artsy and such, very intelligent. And we had Philip Glass do a concert here in San Antonio, and George had the after party after the concert at his studio down on Houston Street at the time when he had his studio there. And so my buddy and myself, we were invited to attend the party, and I got to meet Philip Glass. Now, by this time, I had already listened to, I'd been introduced to a lot of his music by then, and I was in love with the music, Kayana Scottsy and such.
As long as he fills up your glass.
Well, the thing is, no, man, here's the cool part. We didn't talk music for the half hour we spent just bullshitting. We didn't talk music. We talked about traveling. He talked about his trips down to South America and Brazil and other South American countries where he did a lot of his work. And I talked about my traveling to Alaska and to Turkey.
There was more I wanted to say, but there was a line forming behind me. So I was like, okay, all right, well, I'll get out of your face. But, yeah. So that's...
When you got that kind of connection, though, what you do is you try to find a way to make a connection later on.
It is impossible that this guy is not going to be at least pretty well known within a few years.
Well, maybe I just need to listen to something else he's done, because obviously I didn't like what I first heard. So,
well, you also don't have no bass over there or decent headphones.
What can I say?
Well, you got some decent headphones, actually. I'll get you some better ones for Christmas.
So let's see. For Christmas, I'm getting a better set of headphones and a Godzilla doll.
Shit, I forgot about that.
Godzilla. Now somebody's going to say I'm racist because of the way I'm pronouncing it. No.
Okay, I was wearing a Flog shirt last time. So
Yeah, Flog.
Like,
Godzilla! Okay, my last story for tonight. This is it. This is the last one for tonight for this podcast. Okay. We were talking about cultural differences and living in Turkey and having to learn new things. We got to Istanbul, Turkey. It was, I guess, mid-afternoon. We got off the flight. Oh, it was god-awful hot and humid. I mean, right there on the edge of the Mediterranean Sea, the Bosphorus Strait, the humidity is hell. The heat was like 120 in the shade. You get off the plane and you just want to melt down the stairs. You know, you don't want to walk down. You just want to sort of melt and just sort of
like if I was
slip down the damn things.
Or something, just...
So we get off the plane and we go into the Istanbul airport, where we have to wait to catch our connecting flight to Adana, Turkey. And at that juncture, Istanbul airport did not have air conditioning. It was just as hot and humid inside as it was outside. You know, it was, sticky, wet, moist. Use your favorite term. That's what it was.
Normally that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't. And of course there was, what's that smell? Oh my God, what is it? It was the people. Bathing was an option there. You know, most people didn't have the option to bathe on a regular basis. So yeah, there was that to contend with.
I told you how long it's been before it came over tonight.
So
that's no joke.
I had to go and take a dump. Yeah, and I was like, oh man, I looked at my dad and I was like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'm gonna take a dump.
This is the best fucking video I've done so far.
But
one day I had to go take a dump.
I had to go take a dump.
This is like my streams. Jesus.
Not a wee lad of a dump, but a big dump. So I get into the men's room. I go into the men's room in the airport there, and of course it's just as hot and sticky and incredibly smelly, even worse, in there. And as I walk in, I'm looking around. I don't see a toilet. You know, what the hell? Where's the toilet at? What's going on here? About that time, the attendant, now they have attendants in the restrooms there. You know, and they sell you little things like towels and lotions and little bits of mint or something, you know. And you have to tip them and such, you know, afterwards. You know, it's just custom. And the attendant sees the confusion on my face. He goes, pee or poo? I said, poo. He goes, there. And he points to the wall. And and on the floor along the wall are these little ceramic squares or rectangles, about 2 feet wide by about 3 feet long.
Yeah.
A hole in the middle of the rectangle, and a pair of feet prints on either side of the hole. I'm like, what do I do with this? Squat, squat, poo, squat. You had to put your feet on the feet print, dropped your drawers, got them out of the way, leaned back against the wall, and took a dump in the hole. That was a Turkish toilet. So I said, okay, while in Rome, okay. So I learned how to take a shit, Turkish style. Then came the next challenge.
I thought there were going to be a certain number of seashells.
Well, that's just it.
You didn't know how to
There was no seashells. There was no toilet paper. There was a spigot in the wall. And I'm looking around. Now what?
Probably spray your ass with. Huh?
You know, what the hell do I do now? And the guy looked at me and he made a gesture with his hand, wiping his ass with his fingers. Wipe. I said, no, my hand gets dirty. Wipe. Spigot, water. Wash. But he was doing it with his left hand. Yeah. In Turkey, it's considered an insult to shake somebody's hand with your left hand.
Do you remember the guy we worked with that would only eat with
his right hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. Sam.
Yep.
But so I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, what the hell? That ended up being the most expensive shit I've ever had in my life. I ended up wiping my ass with 5 $1 bills. And tossing them down the damn hole. Cultural differences. Wow. Things are different there than they are over here. Richard, you got anything else to add?
No, actually, I just I came over with a harmonica tonight. I figured the kazoo. I don't know how to fucking make that thing work.
Look, I'm playing it upside down.
What? You fucking keep it.
Christmas came early.
Keep it. I don't know how to do that shit. I made you drink some Bunny with a Chainsaw.
Bunny with a Chainsaw, man. This is a treat. Anybody out there who hasn't tried Bunny with a Chainsaw? In the pink can, mind you. The pink can. No, we'll call this, for those of you who are macho men, chartreuse.
No, that's
that doesn't work either. Salmon. You're right, salmon. Rose.
I've never seen it before in my life. We we were going down I was like, okay, I got to pick up some beer. We're going to John's. So, what the fuck is this?
Bunny with a Chainsaw. Wow.
How much is that? Holy shit. Hang on. Mm-hmm. Is he actually holding a chainsaw and I'm turning with... all right, yeah. I got to buy this on principle alone. I got to do it.
Oh, you know what I forgot to do?
Turned out to be good. So.
I'm an asshole and that's okay. I piss people off and it makes my day.
You did that.
I didn't do that at the beginning of the... Did I?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay, yeah, maybe you're
right.
right.
Now.
Yeah.
We don't remember, so...
It's been an hour and several bunnies with a chainsaw, so...
You have to fucking upload it and look at it.
Okay, guys.
I really don't know.
We'll see you next week or next month or next whenever. Remember to like and subscribe. Yes, I'm getting there to that point where all the rest of them, like and subscribe.
They gotta hit the fucking bell or they're not gonna be notified of anything. So slap his bells.
And share it with your friends.
Tickle his bell.
Yeah, tickle my bells. Until next time, this is John Sees the World. Or is it John Sees the World? And Richard.
Yeah, the asshole lives about a mile away or something.